Hi, it's Ann. Thanks for stopping by. A bit of a bonus video today. The reason being, I discovered a much improved way of doing something, and I didn't want to wait until my next scheduled video to show it to you. Last night, I made a video cutting down a file folder to be the appropriate size for a junk journal. And this is what we ended up with. And it preserved the cute little curves and everything, and it was really cute. It was a little fiddly to make, and I realized this. As I was playing with the process more and actually recreating what I had done sort of by accident the first time I started playing with these file folders as junk journal covers, I discovered there's a much easier way to show you how to make these. So I'd like to go ahead and do that now. So yay, I just didn't want to wait. I'm going to take a standard file folder, just like I did yesterday. Oh, let me show you what's going to be different. With this one, you know, we had the little tab sticking out here in the middle. And it occurred to me, what if I wanted to tie a ribbon around this or put a closure here? And I've got this kind of, you know, single thickness. Even if I collage top and bottom, it would just be 3 paper thicknesses here sticking out. It's just fine here if we, you know, can just have it closed like that and not need a closure. But if we want a closure, we need a little bit of a different situation here on this opening edge. So we're going to see how that makes it even easier to make. Here is our file folder, and I'm going to make a line 6.5 inches from the left-hand side. And this straight edge should be all I need. And I'm actually not even going to need to have a pencil line drawn. We just carefully cut that here. So this, if I did it right, which I was having trouble doing last night, is 6.5 inches wide. Now, I have this left over. I am going to make my sticking up part at the top of the front. Does this make sense? The top of the front cover, and then I'm going to have the bottom cover, the bottom the bottom thickness, the rear page, have one that goes in, but we're going to do one at a time. I'm also going to cut this down to be 9 inches tall. There we go. And to me, this was a lot less confusing. So there was nothing wrong with ending up the way we ended up yesterday's, except I think that this will be better. I think this will be a little bit better, particularly if we want to do a closure. Now, let me see what I had here for reference. Yes, it's the top, the front cover that I want. I'm going to open it up like this. I'm going to take the piece I cut off, and I'm going to line it up here. You know what? I'm going to ink this, not because I want it to be inked for its final use, because we're going to be kind of discarding it, but I want you to be able to see. There we go. Hopefully that'll be a little more visible for you where these are stacked up. And I'm going to line up the top of this tab. Remember, this is the front of our little journal cover right here. And I'm going to grab a pencil, and I'm going to just lightly pencil along this top part and along here. And I will cut. And because we made this whole piece 6.5 inches wide, this area from the left-hand spine to the page opening on the right is 6 inches, because I'm cutting away this little bit of that excess. And then I'm swooping up here to make the tab. don't know why this didn't occur to me last night. I think it was because it was in the night. It was evening when I was making this. Now I'm going to open it up and we're going to do a cutout on the back side. And some file folders are formed this way. Many of them have different, different ways that the tabs are staggered. But I'm just taking that same cutaway piece and doing the same thing, only with the tab coming up on the bottom part of that opening. And it still is going to have a very, very pleasant shape. But you can see, because we have that indentation here, if I need to put a cord or something around there, it's going to be in this area that's not sticking up by itself. It's going to have the benefit of having several thicknesses, the journal cover on top of the journal back, but also the signature that's going to be in the middle. There's just going to be a lot more sturdiness in this area than if I had something sticking up in the middle, like I would have if it was this. Let's create our little corners. And these little templates work very, very nicely. And the thing that you can do with something like this is, if you wanted your tabs to be narrower, you just draw them that way. You just, if I wanted it, in fact, let's go ahead and let's assume we wanted to maybe make this a little bit more narrow. I want to open up a little bit more there, and maybe here. There we go. And I'll be collaging and pasting and such on top of this. So again, I'm not worried about extreme precision. There we go. Now I just want to round this corner here. I suppose I could use my corner rounder, but I kind of like using the existing template that we created. Oh, I drew that already. There we go. So we have a little bit of a wider piece here, and that can all be trimmed down. In fact, maybe I'll trim it down just a little bit more here. Maybe I will use my X-Acto knife. How about that? Not really, really necessary, because again, I'm going to be pasting more paper on top of both of these. There we go. I love having that dip there in the middle, and we still have our tab that's coming up and our tab that's coming up. It looks like a file folder, and it was a lot easier to do than this. There's a place for both of them, but I think the way I like having the option of being able to put a closure to tie a cord around the middle. I like the shape so much that I was thinking, why don't we see if we can create the same file folder shape on something that isn't a file folder. I have a couple of little collage pieces. These are little master boards that I made collaging on top of some seed catalog pages. They're buried in there. And when I make collages of that size, I tend to make 2 of them, because if I'm going to use them, if they're anything that could be used for a journal cover, it's nice to have 2 that are sort of done with the same set of scraps. So that's why I did 2 of these, just using seed catalog pages. what I'm going to do here, and this is going to be, is that what I want for my front cover? Yeah, I think that'll work. They're virtually the same. I'm just placing the front cover inside here, and I'm just going to trace this. There's going to be very little waste, and the cover is already decorated. I put a thin layer of Mod Podge on here, so I hope that the pencil will show up. We will see. Yeah, it shows up, I think, well enough. You probably can't see it, but I think I can see it well enough here. So it's going to actually be a faux file folder. Go. And I'm not worried about pencil marks getting onto this, because when we use it, I mean, they can easily erase. And when we use it, we're going to be covering it over anyway. Okay, here's our front. And yeah, I already put some online order packing paper on the back of this, so that's ready to go. Let's use our back side. And I want to make certain I have the back side facing like this. Turn this inside out so I can get that left-hand edge nice and straight. Whoops. My grandson was using one of these pencils to do his homework the other day, and he kept clicking them. I said, let Grandma show you how you get the lead if it runs out. He goes, oh, I know. And he's clicking on the eraser. I said, no, honey, Grandma gets the cheap, mechanical pencils. But, you know, that's my favorite kind. I used to have an assistant when I worked in New York who was always trying to order me fancy mechanical pencils. I could not stand them. I had to have the inexpensive kind. You know why? Because I didn't like having to click, because it always clicked out too much. I like this one because you just twist the end here right close to the lead, and you get out just a little bit at a time. So yes, I am persnickety about my mechanical pencils. That's okay. There's a lot we can't control in life, isn't there? If we can have the mechanical pencils of our preference, then good for us. Oh, so much waste. That's the only waste there was. Can you believe it? And I could probably use that for something, but guess what? I probably won't. All right, here's our little journal cover to be, and here's our little journal cover that's closer to being a journal cover. There we go. We've got that nice brown inside there, and I'll do some inking around that, and I'll do a bunch of stamping on the inside when it gets closer. Let's take this a little bit more towards the finish line, and I'll show you how, when I have done these before, when I make any kind of journal from 2 pieces of collaged paper, I usually just put them very close to each other. Let me make certain they're the same size here. Yep, those line up rather nicely. I'm going to put them fairly close to each other here. And then I like to take another piece, and this is from something I cut off another file folder, and I'm going to put this hinged piece here. I guess I could have taken this aside, and maybe I'll use my Fabri-Tac. It's a little bit stronger. And with this fold going towards the edge of the cover piece, put that little fold right next to the edge. This isn't entirely even, so I can trim some of that off. Oh, I have glue flying everywhere. I was just so excited that I discovered this easier way to do it. And it's funny because when I did my first prototype several weeks ago, just, you know, sitting here by myself, that's kind of how I did it. And I had forgotten or had not paid attention to the way it turned out. And okay, so this little fold is here. I'm folding that back up, getting the glue on that side of our little hinge. And there we go. Everything is nice and lined up. Did I have my ups going the right way? I did not. Nope, I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry. This is going to be the front. But that might be a little cautionary tale if you do have something directional. I'm not worried one bit about this because I'm going to be putting other things on it anyway. So an easier way to do it, although check your ups and downs. That's okay. Now, what I'm going to do is to let this dry, and then I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine. See, this hinge is nice in there. And it's going to lay perfectly flat. But one thing I'm going to do is to cover the hinge with a little bit of fabric. And I might make it a little bit longer than it needs to be. Find my hinge. And I'm going to put just a little swipe of glue stick over that join area. And then I'm going to put my little strip of cotton fabric right down the middle. Now, this glue stick won't hold it in place for very long. At least it would not under, if it were going to be under a lot of duress. But it doesn't have to be, because when I take it to my sewing machine, you can see how this fabric strip covers about the same area as this piece of file folder cut off. And therefore, when I stitch along here and along here, it's going to come through and be hold this down too. So I'm not depending on that glue stick to hold it through a lot. The stitching is going to do that. Oh, this is cute. I think I'm going to let it dry flat until I get it sewn. But this is going to be cute, and I love this little collage. Why don't we? Let's see. Yeah. I wanted to try something else, and I wonder if you might be game to go along with that with me. I had a couple pieces of small file folder around here, I thought. Yeah, these are just some that I had sitting on my desk. I thought, what if we did like a tiny little file folder? What if we did the same sort of thing, maybe as a little notebook cover, but have it be a teeny tiny file folder? So let me go to one of my cutoff pieces. I have several of them around here. Here's one from when I was experimenting earlier. And I think I am just going to draw. I'm going to imagine that my top tab is up here, but obviously it would take up the whole thing if I used it at its full length. So I'm just going to kind of get that in place. Like that. That's my little curve. And I know that whole thing takes about 1/2 inch. There we go. And this is my tab area, so I'll make this the top part. And as long as I'm putting curves into the situation, I'll put a little curve there. I probably could freehand that, but I don't feel quite confident enough to do that. This might look a little oddly disproportional, but I can always cut down the height of these tabs if I want to. I just wanted to use my existing template just to see, because I haven't done this yet. Okay, and let's do the same thing with the tab on the bottom, but you know, since I have that here, just flip that over and use that as a template. Whoops. My eyes were seeing the edge of that template piece when they were not there. All right, this is at the top. What do we think of this as a little booklet with those file folder tabs there? I could put a join there. This would actually be super cute if I did it on, you know, like on, this is part of a cutoff, but if I did it on a, you know, piece of a file folder that already had that join there. As it is, I'll put some washi tape down here. How about that? I'll put some washi to hold it temporarily. I'm sure I will do some collaging or, you know, just covering in paper. But for demonstration purposes, let's put a little washi down here. And of course the glue underneath, because we don't trust the adhesive on the washi. Not that we're a distrusting group, we crafters, but washi tape adhesive has let us down in the past. There we go. I think this is cute. I will say, I think that these tabs are maybe just a tiny bit too tall with proportion. You know, we made them shorter, but we can make them, I mean, we made them less wide. We can make them a little less tall as well. Let's come in with this and shave a little off the top. And how much did I cut off? It looks like I trimmed its fingernails or something. Go. I can continue to play with that shaping a little bit, but I think that, yeah, I think I like those just a little bit with a lower profile. So anyway, just like this, in case I decide maybe to put a paper clip or something on this, if I use it as a little notebook, looking for one of my paper clips, it would be easy to hold it shut with something right there, and that's just the right size. So anyway, I'm going to continue working on the fun with my vintage vintage office journal. But I just wanted to show you what I was doing to improve my file folder trim down process. We'll see you soon, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.